Westbrook and the Lakers had a disappointing first year together, failing to even qualify for the play-in tournament. Westbrook averaged just 18.5 points. That's his lowest average since his second season in the NBA. Part of the fallout from this is that the Lakers have a new coach. His name is Darvin Ham, and he recently had this to say about Westbrook. Quote, "Count it out prematurely. Count it out prematurely. I love Russell Westbrook, man. Just his mentality, his approach. Just to see him, a guy of that magnitude and everything he's done in the league, to get hated on. But being me, I got a wholehearted plan, a clear plan on how I'm going to use him. I showed it to him, sat down, brought stuff up for him. I think he's going to flourish. We ain't going to try to curtail his energy. We're just going to diversify it, redirect it." So that is the confidence of a new head coach. Brian Windhorst, do you imagine a situation where Russell Westbrook can flourish under Darvin Ham and with the Lakers?
Well, that depends on your definition of the word flourish now, doesn't it? I really appreciate what Darvin is trying to do here. He is a veteran coach and player. He has worked with many stars over his career. He knows exactly how to try to reach them. And he has got what he is trying to do here is have Russell Westbrook go against his nature. His nature is not to do anything but play the way he wants to play. And the exit interview that he gave at the end of this season, which was really, really revealing in my opinion, how he really didn't take any accountability for the way the season went, heavily blamed Frank Vogel, lightly blamed LeBron James and Anthony Davis. That would be really worrisome for me and for Darvin Ham. And so he is trying to give Russell every opportunity he can to be successful, and I respect it. The concept of Russell redeploying his energy, or however you want to term it, is not something we've ever seen in his career, and how could I expect it, at this point?
Fair enough. Nick, your thoughts on what Darvin Ham had to say?
Dan, the Lakers, all the while, as Darvin's trying to say everything he did, are also trying to redirect that contract. They're trying to send it to Brooklyn. So that shows you exactly what the Lakers think of the last year with Russ. Russ used to be a great player. Do I think there are still moments where he can help the Lakers or another team? Of course. And I understand completely what Darvin Ham is doing, because he's trying to build up the confidence of a once very, very confident player. But the tape doesn't lie. He's just not the same that he used to be in Oklahoma City. You talk to players who played against him, talk to coaches all across the league, and they look at it and you go, well, Russ used to be great, but that guy isn't there anymore. So as a new coach, you build him up, but the Lakers are telling you behind the scenes what they're trying to do, and they're trying to send him somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, that's a high standard when he was in his prime. He was literally the MVP of the league. So, but still, it got to a point, and you see these highlights where it looked just sort of ridiculously bad. Windy, when you look at the Lakers and their offseason, how does the signing of some younger role players, how does that benefit this? I mean, they're built around the three stars, LeBron, AD, and Westbrook, but what are they trying to do to help those guys out?
Yeah, Dan, you can definitely tell they had a strategy which was to go younger than they were last year. And I mean, they couldn't go older. I mean, it was literally impossible with the players available in the league to go older than they were last year. So they went younger. Lonnie Walker IV is a talent. He's a guy who his team looked at for 4 years and said, we're not even going to offer you a qualifying offer. I mean, that same thing happened with Malik Monk a year ago, and Malik Monk ended up being a terrific find for them. So Lonnie Walker could be okay. The rest of the guys are minimum players. Sometimes minimum players work out, sometimes they don't. But they should have more energy. They should stay healthier. Their big difference between last year and the year before, in addition to Westbrook, was their defense absolutely collapsed. They were the #1 defense in the league 2 years ago when they were a playoff team and were threatening to knock out the Phoenix Suns in the first round. Last year, they ranked in the 20s. That is an unrecoverable drop, and the hope is that younger, more active bodies will help them get better on defense, because before you can dream of anything with the Lakers, they've just got to defend better.
James Harden and the 76ers are hoping to regroup and make a finals run. Harden decided to decline his $47.3 million option so he could provide more flexibility for the team to improve its roster. So, I guess the question is, how do they go about that? What's the #1 thing, Nick Friedel, that the Sixers have to do to get the most out of James Harden next year?
It's a simple message, Dan. James, get in shape. That's what it's about. If James Harden can get in shape this summer, he can still be a very, very good player in the league. He can get to the rim a little bit more. The explosion can come back. The hardest part for some of the Nets staffers watching him at the end of that Brooklyn tenure was that he just didn't look like himself. He didn't look like the guy who dominated at times in Houston because he couldn't get the separation anymore. We saw it even more in the postseason when he was playing alongside Joel Embiid. If James Harden commits to losing a little bit of weight and getting himself in shape, I know that's easier said than done for a lot of people, myself included, but if he does that with the money that's coming his way, Philadelphia is going to be in a really good place coming into next season.
Well, I mean, we see there he's running stairs or something going on. Right, exactly.
Who cares about the Instagram stuff? I want to see it in real life.
So what would that mean? Like if he does what you're saying, if he shows up motivated and driven, what would that mean for the Sixers next year?
Their offense opens up a great deal more because we saw Joel Embiid playing at an MVP level. You didn't get the help you thought you were going to get from Harden. And Dan, if you get that type of star power on the wings, moving the ball, pushing it up, getting PJ Tucker involved defensively, you have the core with Doc Rivers at the helm of a team that really can push in the East. But there was such a letdown in Philly because they thought they were getting the old Harden. And anybody who watched him in Brooklyn can tell you that guy wasn't around last season. He lost a lot of motivation when he realized that Kyrie wasn't going to get that shot and he wanted out. He has a lot to prove now to the league that he can get back in shape and play at this level because the Sixers can win potentially in the East if he's here. They can't win if he's right here where he was last season.
As we mentioned, the point of the opt-out is so Philly could kind of reshape its roster. So, I mean, what kind of stuff could they do, and how does that reshaping open up the floor for Harden in the offense?
They just can get a lot more guys in potentially with the money that Harden is leaving on the table right now. Now, there's no doubt, Dan, that Daryl Morey is saying to James, hey, we'll take care of it. We'll get you back on the backside. But all of what could happen is secondary to Harden being the player that he used to be. All the other additions potentially in season that could come in a few months or closer to the trade deadline, that's all well and good for Philly. It starts with Harden committing to the program and being in the kind of shape that led him to be one of the best players in the game for such a long time. If he gets back to that level, the other part of this is there are a lot of people around the league that would go, Philly, this can work with Embiid playing the way he did last year.
You said committing to the program. I thought you were going to say process. That's a tough word in Philly, right, when we talk about
Hey, if they don't do it this year,
yeah,
that could be the end of this process. Not Embiid leaving, but this team as a legit threat to win it all.